Welcome back to I've Got Something to Tell You with Tayler and
Colleen.
Episode 19. Wow.
Whoa.
We say that every
I
time.
know. It's like we're surprised by our own ability to like knock these out.
We're surprised weekly.
Yeah. Just
like it hasn't been happening for the past few
we're
months.
like 19. Oh my God.
Whoa. And then next episode is 20.
What?
Wild.
It's going to be a real surprise for all of us.
It will be.
Yeah.
So act surprised next week when I say 20.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
We're also recording at night.
Mm-hmm.
So wish us luck.
Historically, they've been kind of all over the place.
So my week has been boring, but anything going on with you?
Well, we talk a lot of crap about him, but Seb really hooked me up with the snack setup today.
Oh, yeah.
It was very thoughtful.
It was.
It was really nice. I was like just the little things, but
yeah, because we always have snacks going on here when she comes over, and we had these really good ones from Costco, and they're like Korean barbecue flavored.
Yeah.
And he got Colleen her own bag.
Yeah. And then he told Tayler, he goes, "This is for Colleen."
He did. I was like, okay, I got it. I'm not going to open it. I know she's going to open it when she gets here, but...
Well, and also it makes me sound so gluttonous of just like, I just come over and just immediately I'm like, feed me.
I love it. You should be comfortable here, okay? I'm like, raid the cabinet, girl. Someone besides me has to do it.
Well, it was very nice of Seb and I appreciate it. So thank you, Seb.
Okay, well, I don't really have anything to tell you from my week. It hasn't been that exciting, but I do have a story to tell you.
Okay.
Okay. So, Colleen, I've got something to tell you. I am going to be covering the Hotel Monte Vista in Flagstaff.
That's so exciting just because like we've talked about it so much and like I feel like my brother has like brought it up to you of just like, have you guys done this or do you know? So
yeah, I've been in there once, like briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my mom and my sister did like a girls trip there and we weren't staying there, so they only let us in the lobby and they didn't really like when people like roamed around because it was haunted. So we got a few pictures and I think there's like an orb in one, so I'll have to show you. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, not okay. But
it's like a white circle. Not a face.
I believe you, so I don't have to see the picture.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
But exciting for you.
Yeah. Well, exciting for my mom. She loves orbs.
Yeah, she does.
So in the 1920s, dang, already.
It's the mix of the night recording.
It sure is. The residents of Flagstaff, Arizona decided that their town needed the first-class accommodations. All the hotels were either old or just outdated. The Flagstaff community fundraised $200,000, and in June of 1926, they began building the Monte Vista Hotel, and on New Year's Day of 1927, the Grand Hotel opened. And first of all, I thought it was really cool that the community fundraised.
I was going to say that is like a pretty impressive fundraiser.
Right? A pretty impressive community.
Yeah.
So the Monte Vista is a 73-room hotel, and it sits on the corners of Aspen and San Francisco Street, a centerpiece for downtown Flagstaff. And fun fact, it was originally called the Community Hotel, but they had a contest, and it was like whoever won got to rename the hotel. And a 12-year-old won. A 12-year-old girl.
I was waiting. I was like, I would have so many submissions.
I know, and I feel like for a 12-year-old, like, that's a pretty good name. So they chose the Monte Vista, and that means Mountain View.
Yeah.
Like, for a 12-year-old, I'd be like...
I know, but I feel like I would be like... I I would be sending things in where like they wouldn't know what it meant, and then it would be like they picked it because they thought it was good, and then it actually means like butthole or something like that.
It would be something stupid like that, like a 12-year-old would come up with, or it would be like something from like a Disney movie or like something weird.
Yeah.
But this kid, the Monte Vista, okay.
All right,
good
future
job.
in marketing. Good job.
I know. So the Monte Vista quickly became an iconic spot in Flagstaff, attracting famous people and celebrities such as Bob Hope, Bon Jovi, Clark Gable, was that how you say his name?
Clark Gable.
Gable? I knew I was going to say it wrong.
It's okay.
Debbie Reynolds, Bing Cosby, Michael J. Fox, and even the 33rd President Harry Truman.
Oh my gosh.
So, also in 1927, Mary Costigan, I probably said that last name wrong. She became the second woman in the world and the first in the US to receive a commercial radio broadcasting license. As her show gained popularity, she quickly realized she needed a larger space and better resources. In 1929, she relocated her station, KFXY, to the Monte Vista Hotel. Her debut 100-watt broadcast brought the new location. It drew over 400 local attendees and marked the beginning of her 3-hour daily broadcasts. So she would have them at the hotel, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the fact that she was the second woman ever.
She was the second woman in the world and the first in the US to receive a commercial radio broadcasting license.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Good for her.
I know. Just kind of another fun fact. So like underneath the hotel and underneath downtown Flagstaff in general, there are underground tunnels. And they're believed to have been constructed by Chinese immigrants. So it winds its way through Northern Arizona University through downtown Flagstaff. So several businesses, including Weatherford Hotel, Babbitt's Backcountry, and the Monte Vista, have access to these hidden passageways beneath their basements. Which sounds pretty familiar. Spokane. So I guess, I mean, I know a lot of places have like the underground tunnels, but it was interesting that it was also like the Chinese immigrants that were like staying down there.
Mm-hmm.
So in the early 1900s, a massive fire destroyed many buildings in downtown Flagstaff, and Chinese migrant workers were unfairly blamed for the blaze due to their cooking and cleaning habits. In the aftermath, they began using the tunnels to move around the city discreetly and to avoid harassment. So very similar to Spokane, and not surprising in that time period with the racism.
Yeah.
Today, the tunnels primarily serve as storage and house utility lines, but the larger chambers are rumored to have a darker past. Over the years, evidence of illicit activities such as opium dens, illegal distilleries, gambling machines, and other underground operations have been uncovered in Flagstaff's hidden underworld. While the Monte Vista is celebrated for its historic charm, it's even more famously recognized as one of the most haunted hotels in the country. So let's get into this spooky shit. Enough about the history.
Let's get into what we're here for.
Right.
Let's get spooky.
And I feel like you're going to like this first one.
Okay. That makes me feel like I'm not going to like the rest of them.
No, you're going to like it.
Okay.
So, room 220, the Meat Man.
I've had enough of meat conversations. The Sausage Factory, I could
My
not.
God, mystery meat.
Mystery, still one of my favorite though titles that we've had.
I know. I feel like that was like the quickest we came up with one too.
It was like, say less.
Done.
Yeah.
So, among the many haunted rooms in the historic hotel, room 220 stands out for the strange and lasting presence of a former resident known only as the Meat Man. Back in the early 1980s, this long-term guest developed a bizarre reputation for hanging raw meat from the chandelier in his room.
What?
I know. I don't know because...
How does that happen multiple times?
Well, also, like, while I was reading it, I was expecting them to say, like, he was, like, a butcher or, like, something like that, and it doesn't say anything about that. So it's like, you're just hanging meat.
Where
like,
are you getting the meat from?
I know. They don't specify what kind of meat. It's like human parts.
I was just going to say, like, the first time I feel like immediately kick out. Like, don't allow it to happen a second time.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did it happen?
Also, imagine how bad that smells. Well, I mean, it happened enough to call him the meat man.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Okay, so no one knew exactly why he did it, but the unsettling habit left a lasting impression on those around him. I love how they call it a habit. He just says like a habit of hanging meat.
It's like, yeah. Sorry, I'm like trying to think of what else you would call it, though.
Hanging his meat. It sounds like something else.
Ew.
Disgusting.
I was thinking about the Lady Gaga dress.
Ew. She had like that steak on her head.
I know. Maybe this is a thing. Like,
maybe he was just like ahead of his time. Wait.
Yeah.
Before his time or ahead of him?
Both. I think both phrases work.
I can't. Okay, so what makes the meat man truly infamous? However, it's not his behavior in life, but what continues to happen in room 220, decades after his death. Not long after he passed away, a hotel maintenance worker was sent to the room to make some repairs. He turned off the lights and locked the door behind him. But when he returned shortly after, the scene had completely changed. The television was blaring at full volume, even though no one had been inside. Worse yet, the bed linens had been violently torn off and thrown around the room, as if in a fit of rage. Shaken, the worker refused to return. Yet to this day, guests in room 220 report some strange disturbances like televisions turning on by themselves and the chilling sensation of unseen hands brushing against them.
No.
Cold and clammy.
Stop.
Like raw meat.
Ew, like somebody who's just been handling meat.
I just imagined like someone with a steak.
He's just
So
got like a
gross.
deli ham. Like,
Because like when they said like raw meat, I'm like hands or like a piece of steak.
Yeah. Sick.
Either way, disgusting.
Yeah. It's not clammy, it's hammy.
Nothing. Cold and hammy. And nobody likes cold and clammy hands either. So,
No.
Ew. Sweaty hands.
Sick.
Okay. Anyway, room 305, the rocking chair. Room 305 has a long history of strange occurrences, some dating back decades, and has even been featured on paranormal investigation shows. And today it's one of the most requested rooms for those intrigued by the supernatural. The most frequently reported phenomenon involves a rocking chair near the window. Guests have often shared accounts of the chair moving on its own, gently knocking against the closet. Some have even claimed to see an elderly woman seated there, silently gazing out the window with a distant, wistful expression. Though her name remains a mystery, old hotel lore speaks of a longtime resident, an elderly woman who spent her days sitting by that very window, watching and waiting for someone who never came. They say this is the most requested room, but I'm like, really? The meat man's not the most requested room? Because that one seems a lot more scary than just a woman like sitting by the window.
Well, I mean, I imagine it smells worse though.
That is true.
You know?
I mean, it can't be worse than like the sausage factory.
What was it, 12205
Yeah.
Imperial Avenue or something?
Okay. The lounge. So, not just the rooms are haunted. And I'm going to get back to another room, but let's switch back to the lounge really quick. So, they have a spirit that is a bank robber. And he's a surprisingly friendly spirit said to linger in the Monte Vista's hotel lounge. In 1970, during a failed bank robbery, he was shot by a guard. Wounded but still conscious, he and his two accomplices stopped into the lounge for a final drink, where he ultimately succumbed to his injuries and bled to death. I like that. He was like, I gotta get a drink.
So he was wounded and he went to get a drink?
He was shot and he went to the bar and got a drink and then he died.
At the bar?
Mm-hmm. I feel like he was like, I know I'm gonna go out, so I need to have a drink before.
What do you think he got? What do you think he ordered?
I'm imagining in my head, like, some kind of like whiskey on the rocks or something.
I would really love if it was like an Aperol spritz, though.
That would be cute. Probably not strong enough for a gunshot wound.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
But then he's like, no, it's whiskey on the rocks, but with an umbrella in it.
For me, it would be an espresso martini.
Yeah.
What would yours be?
Probably an Aperol spritz.
Oh. So
That's very basic. But
I mean, those are good though. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, espresso martini, it's pretty basic too.
Yeah, but it's fancier because like it's an.
I do feel fancy when I drink one.
Yeah.
And Aperol spritz is fancy too. We just have like a low bar for fancy.
Yeah.
Like anything's like fancy to us.
We're
That's
just
not
like,
a beer.
it comes in a glass. Like, that's fancy.
I know. Okay. Since then, both staff and guests have reported strange occurrences in the lounge. A cheerful good morning often greets people with no one else in sight, and some have witnessed bar stools shifting or drinks sliding across the bar without explanation. And many believe these playful disturbances are the work of the bank robbers still hanging around for one last round. Which I kind of like. I like that he says, like, good morning.
Aw. Yeah.
I think it's cute.
Yeah.
So, room 306. Going back to the rooms. I just realized something. So, it's a 73-room hotel, but it's room 306.
So it's on the 3rd floor, but it's room 6.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, 300 rooms?
No. It's so that like it's to help lessen the confusion for people like getting on the elevator so that like they don't know.
I never knew that.
Really?
Mm-mm.
So like if you're in room like 801, you're in room...
I never thought of that. I can't believe I never thought of that. Colleen with the hotel room facts.
I didn't know I knew that either, so I'm surprised.
You're like, it's very basic information.
Like that's just what I do is if I'm in room 204, I hit level 2.
Did I think it was 300 rooms? That would be like such a big hotel.
There's
That's so stupid.
No, it's
Norman
not.
needs to cut that out.
That's amazing. I was like, what do you mean?
I like literally just thought of it right now. I was like, wait. Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah, room numbers don't associate with actually what room you're in.
I got it now.
Okay, sorry. Yes, you're right. Sorry, I was over-explaining it.
Colleen just
I did. I mansplained to you so hard.
I mean, to be honest, I would have mansplained me too. With that stupid comment.
No.
Okay. Anyway, sorry again, Norman.
Sorry again, everyone.
Sorry, everyone. I can't be the only one.
No, 100%.
Okay, thanks for making me feel
I'm so sorry that I did that to you, though.
I did it to myself. Okay, so room 306. Okay, I need to stop.
You're never gonna.
I didn't know, and then I turned it around on you and like, stop, man.
I love that you asked me a question and then got frustrated that I had the answer for you.
I know. It's just like, that's enough.
I got it.
You're like, there's not 300 rooms, you idiot. You're like,
You're not allowed to play the elevator game if you don't know how
Oh
to.
my god, you're so right. I would never get off.
You'd be like, what floor am I on?
I would fuck it up every time, and the lady waiting would be like, is this bitch serious? Like,
she's like, no, I said press the number 5, and you're like, no, but we have to go to the 500 floor.
She just leaves. I ruined the elevator game for everyone.
She's like, it's canceled. She canceled the elevator game.
I can't. You're like, I need to make sure she understands this.
She's like, I've explained the rules 27 times to you. And you're like,
I'm
no.
like, I just keep doing it and it doesn't work.
You're like, no, I got it. And
she's like, no, you don't. She's like, you know what? I know I said originally that you couldn't bring a friend, but bring a friend.
I would love you be like, stop mansplaining to me. And she's like, no, I'm literally just telling you what it is.
I just turn it around on everybody.
Absolute terror.
This took a turn.
Yeah. Okay, so 20 minutes later, we're back to
let's go back to room 306, which is not on the 300th floor, believe it or not. So, anyway, while many of the deaths at the Monte Vista were from natural causes, the hotel's history is also marked by darker, more violent events. Stop laughing.
I'm not. Stop telling me what to do.
Including murder.
Well, that's my job, so what do you think you're doing?
I know, it's like, wait, when I was reading this one, I was like, Colleen's gonna like this one, but also it's, you'll see.
Okay.
So, in the early 20th century, Flagstaff's infamous red light district was just a few blocks away, drawing all kinds of activity to the area. In the early 1940s, 2 female sex workers were hired by a man staying in room 306. What was supposed to be a typical night, doing what they do, quickly turned into a nightmare. I was like, I don't know how else to say it. During their visit, the man brutally murdered both women and disposed of their bodies by throwing them out. This is not fun. The 3rd floor window, not the 300th floor
Okay,
window.
be more conspicuous then.
Okay.
He's like, nobody'll know.
But I'm saying it wasn't 300 stories up. Because that would have been wild.
I mean, they're already dead. What does it matter what level it was?
The tragedy of that night has left a lingering presence. Many believe the spirits of the 2 women remain in room 306, angry and restless. And over the years, guests have reported an intense feeling of being watched, along with frequent sleep disturbances. Men, in particular, seem to be targeted, some claiming to have felt ghostly hands pressing over their mouths or throats in the middle of the night.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so if you're a man and you're sleeping in room 306, good luck. I might just book that hotel and not tell Seb, just to like, I'm like, how'd you sleep?
So
Seb, he's such a hard sleeper, though.
I was gonna say we can do double time of having them attack him, like with the throat stuff, and then we'll also conjure hag attack.
You're like, what the fuck is going
He's
on?
like, what is happening? After he bought me the snacks and I'm over here planning. Like,
I mean, Seb expects it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He likes it, I think.
But also, he does like it, but I feel like he also like wouldn't wake up.
Yeah. He'll be unbothered.
Like that guy's alarm will be going off and I'll be shaking him and he's like, what? Then he like is snoring a second later. So other hauntings, not tied to a specific room. So another well-known spirit at the Monte Vista is the Phantom Bellboy, a spectral figure who's said to knock on guest doors late at night, announcing room service in a muffled voice. Oh my God, have you seen Tommy Boy? Or
yeah.
No? When he's like, room service. Just imagine that. Some have even reported seeing him standing silently outside room 210. According to legend, even actor John Wayne had a chilling encounter with this mysterious presence during his stay. I just realized I didn't name him in the beginning.
That's okay. We're naming him now.
Yeah. In the basement, it didn't even say. Okay, so I wrote the story and didn't read it again, like I told you before we started. But it didn't tell his encounter. But I guess he must have just seen him.
Mm-hmm.
So in the basement, things take a darker turn. Staff have often heard the unmistakable sound of a baby crying, though no child is ever found. No one knows for certain what tragedy might explain the cries, but those who hear them rarely stick around to investigate, often fleeing the area in fear. And then there's the ghostly dancing couple, whose appearances are more sweet than sinister.
I was gonna say that sounds nice.
Yeah. In the early hours of the morning, the two are sometimes seen gliding across the cocktail lounge floor, dressed in elegant attire, smiling and laughing as if lost in their own timeless moment.
Aww.
Which is super cute.
That's really cute. I like that.
Love that kind of haunting.
We love a dancing haunting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the story of the Hotel Monte Vista.
I love that.
A little whack, but I mean me. But yeah, I know I definitely want to go back and actually check. I don't know if I want to stay there, but I want to like check it out.
I feel like we should post the picture of your orb.
The orb?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to find it, but I took a lot of pictures in there, like of their lobby and stuff. It's a cool hotel. Like it's really old, obviously. 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right. Break time?
Yeah.
Cool.
And we're back from our break.
Sure are.
I'm like, Colleen.
Sorry. I was pulling up my story. Okay, well, so Tayler, I've got something to tell you. And this week we have a love story.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't trust you though. I feel like it's
You shouldn't.
Okay.
So as always though, I want to share why I chose to do this story. And I'm not going to say who, but I've been helping somebody with some online dating. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do a online dating true crime story.
Okay, I'm excited.
Yeah. So let's just get into it. So it was funny because when you said our levels of our standards for fancy, I was like, this goes right into my story.
Perfect.
So Deborah Newell is living the dream. She has a stunning home in Newport Beach. She is a self-made woman, and she is a thriving interior design business owner. And it is like very high-end interior design. Like she's doing like what?
Wait. Was that like the connection? Because like our levels of fancy.
Yeah, she's actually fancy.
That's like actual fancy.
Yeah, she has very high standards where ours are
espresso martini and afro.
Yeah. So just saying, like, not somebody probably that would want to hang out with us. Like, I wrote this because I feel like you're going to know what I mean. She's the type of woman that wears, like, silk pajamas to bed.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'd love to be her, but I never would be.
Yeah. So, but very impressive. Like, she is, like, it's not like it was handed to her. She has, like, worked very hard for, like, her income and for her business. She owns her own business. She's redesigning hotels. She's very, very high end. But despite her having all of these like material things, she is missing one thing, and that is love.
Aw.
I know. So, and she's a total romantic. Like she doesn't just want a man. She wants like the love. Like she wants to be appreciated. And from everything that I saw with her, like even though she's like this total badass, like, you know, crazy rich, like all of this stuff, like she still has this like almost like little girl energy of like she just wants somebody to love her.
I was just thinking like be taken care of, even though she can take care of herself.
Exactly. Like she doesn't need somebody to take care of her, but she wants that like partner, you know?
Yeah, she wants it. She doesn't need it.
Exactly. And she is a hot commodity too. So she had been married 4 times, and she's also been proposed to countless times. Even when she was in college, a man actually threw himself onto her windshield because he was so desperate to get a date with her.
Wow.
Yeah. But like I said, she wanted someone who like just met her on like a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
So by 2014, she's 59 years old and she has decided to try something new. She joins an online dating site for people over 50. And no surprise, she gets lots of responses.
Aw.
At one point, she has like 87 messages in her inbox.
Dang.
Yeah. So
Go, girl.
not only, again, she's impressive, but she is very attractive. And like,
Mhm.
that's not like to define her, but she is a very attractive woman.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets flooded with emails and messages, and she starts going on date after date. And she's meeting men who are like fine, but boring. And also, in a nice way, says just not her type.
So nice of her.
Sometimes misleading of what was displayed in the online profile versus what showed up at her doorstep. Okay, so all this dating is starting to get draining, and she is just exhausted of going through the same motions of like trying to be polite and asking like the same questions of the same person, like and not feeling like it's going anywhere.
Yeah, like getting repetitive and stuff.
Yeah, and so she's also like clearly has zero interest in these men, and then she gets a message from a man. All the message says is, "You are just my type." And this message comes from John. So Deborah is immediately infatuated with John. She looks at his profile. He's tall, 6'2", roughly. And he's handsome. He's described as like the type of guy that you probably thought played like college football back in the day. Like he's obviously like he's older, but he's very like attractive to her. And he's also very much in shape. He's the type of guy, even in his 50s, taking shirtless gym selfies. And I will say, I looked up these selfies and
not bad.
Not bad. I mean, not great.
Oh.
But he does have abs, which I was like, okay, a little bit jealous. Like, I can't even get abs.
Like you're over 50 with abs.
Yeah.
Great job.
She's very much like, okay, like I'm working with something here. And then on top of that, so attractive, bada bing, he's also a doctor.
Awesome.
Yeah. So she thinks jackpot.
Yeah.
So Deborah agrees to go on a date. And even though she likes John on paper, she is still kind of hesitant from her previous dating. So she's getting ready to go on the date, and John shows up to pick Deborah up. And he is not really dressed the way that she would expect a doctor to dress.
Is it a catfish situation? Or are you just gonna... Okay, keep going.
It's like I don't want to answer it, but I want
to answer it.
Okay. I'm building it up. This is my storytelling. So he's wearing a dingy shirt and cargo shorts. And she honestly almost thought that it was a unhomed person that showed up. He's still attractive though. Like that's the thing is like underneath it.
Are the abs still under there?
Yeah, there are abs under there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that
she's like, take your shirt off.
Catfish.
Yeah, she's like, let me check. So he's wearing a dingy shirt and cargo shorts, and like that's just the first red flag. But Deborah does.
I like how the cargo shorts were a red flag.
Well, come on, that's a huge red flag. Like it kind of looks just like a retired like frat bro.
Yeah.
But so she's like, I'm not gonna judge. Like they had been talking on the app, so you know, we had chemistry.
Maybe he dresses like that on his day off.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah, so she doesn't regret giving him a chance because he charms her right off the bat. And that she says that there's this immediate spark between them. So much that when they're on the date, he asks her to go back to her place and she agrees. And so they go back and they're doing their adult things. And they start making out and he clearly wants to go farther. But when she says no, and that she's fine with him staying at her place, but she doesn't want him sleeping in her bed, he just gets up and walks out the door. Like, no word,
Rude.
and just walks out.
Ew.
So the next day, Deborah gets a text from John, and it's like, I'm sorry for walking out last night. I was caught off guard. I've just been hurt so much in the past, and I thought you didn't like me. I do think you're amazing, and I'd love to see you again. And she, from everything that I read, she just like has not really had men be nice to her before. And so the fact that he even reached out to her after kind of like the odd behavior, like she decides to give him a second chance. And she's a very like kind individual. A simple text would not work on her.
Mm-mm.
So because he reached out and explained himself, she does decide to give him another chance. And this time they go out on a date and John makes sure it's perfect. He picks her up and he's dressed to the nines. It's no more.
Better not be in those cargo
No,
shorts.
yeah, he's just got cargo shorts with like a blazer.
Polishing a turd.
But so he takes her to a nice restaurant and he just like really shows that he's genuinely interested in her. So Deborah's hooked. She is thinking that this is everything that she's looking for, and she is all in. So they start moving fast, and she starts calling like all of her friends. She's raving about this. I got a doctor with abs. So she's super excited, and everybody's like, that's great. Sounds amazing. So happy for you to be happy. And now she is ready to introduce him to her family. And Deborah has 2 daughters, and Tara is the youngest.
Aww.
I know. Spelled differently.
T-E?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Tayler has a sister named Tara. But so Tara is the youngest, and she is also very sweet like her mother. Like they are very much like people pleasers. And Tara describes herself as being like a very emotional girl. So she's 24 and she works for a vet's office. She has a boyfriend named Michael. But her true love in life is her mini Australian shepherd, Cash.
Aww.
Yeah. And that she names him after Cat, so it's for Cash Money.
Oh, I love that. I thought you were going to say Johnny Cash or something.
Yeah,
Cash
so
Money.
we love her. And he is like, he also is on Instagram, so you can look up Cash Money.
Cute.
The actual dog. Yeah, Cash Newell on Instagram. Look him up. And then her other daughter is Jacqueline, and she's in her late 20s, but she is vastly different than her sister and her mom. She is fierce. She is like a no-nonsense type of person, which I love. So it's the big night with dinner with the 2 girls for John to meet Jacqueline and Tara. And he shows up in scrubs. And
like doctor scrubs?
In doctor scrubs. And Tara's kind of just like, that's weird.
Yeah, because you could totally like just change after.
And also she's like, if you're a doctor, like your scrubs would be gross by the end of the day. Like if you
like why would you want to wear those to dinner?
Yeah, like you're likely like have some bodily fluids or like things like that, but like his scrubs are pristine, almost looking like he had just bought them.
They saw like the folded line.
Yeah, they got a tag on it. And with her like working for a vet office, she's like she's around doctors, you know?
Yeah.
And then Jacqueline also like just has this weird feeling about him. And John the entire time is just like trying a little too hard to sell himself as this dedicated doctor. So both the girls notice it. And after dinner, they are on high alert. Red flags are going off for both of them. And they're not the type, though, to like let these type of things slide, especially when it comes to their mom, given her like dating history and how important they know it is to like find the right partner for her.
Yeah.
So Jacqueline takes the lead and she starts Googling John, trying to find anything that backs up the whole story that they got at dinner.
Yeah.
And so she's searching for his name, his medical credentials, and she also starts looking for like social media profiles, seeing like whatever she can find on this guy. And there is nothing. There's no Facebook, there's no LinkedIn, no Instagram. It's almost like he doesn't exist. So Tara takes a slightly different approach. She starts asking her coworkers at the vet's office about like medical protocols that he had brought up at dinner. And she's like, hey, also, if you're a doctor, wouldn't you change out of your scrubs before going to dinner?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, absolutely yes. No real doctor would show up to meet their girlfriend's family in scrubs, especially ones that they've been working in all day.
Yeah.
And then there are just like little details that keep piling up. Tara remembers the way that John talks about his job during dinner. He kept throwing around like the medical jargon, but just everything felt off. So that's when Jacqueline decides to go in a little bit deeper. She reaches out to a friend who also works in the medical field and asks if there is a way to verify John's credentials.
Mm-hmm.
And she finds this database. So even though like you can't always like find somebody on Google, she's like, there's got to be something. And so she finds this database where you can actually search like people's credentials and history. And she doesn't find anything about him in there. No license, no proof that John is or ever was a doctor. So now they have all of this information and they go to sit down with their mom. And she doesn't want to hear any of it. She's very defensive and saying like, you guys don't want me to be happy and things like that. So
that would be rough.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't even know, like having your mom date. I feel like I'm protective enough with my sister. Like,
I know.
I couldn't like imagine.
Well,
that.
And especially since like both of them had seen her through so many different like marriages and things like that.
Yeah.
So Deborah's like, I'm not hearing any of this. Like, I'm happy. I'm finally happy. Like, don't question my relationship.
Yeah.
But then things start to get even a little bit more strange for Deborah to ignore. And John starts becoming a little bit more controlling. He starts making comments about her daughters, saying that they don't really care about her and that they're just jealous of her relationship with him. He starts isolating her from all of her friends, telling her that they're just trying to sabotage their love. And then comes the money. So if John is really a doctor, he should be making pretty decent money.
Yeah.
But he starts asking for small loans, just like a few $100s like here and there. And then he starts escalating to like 1,000. And at first it seems innocent, and he claims he's, dealing with some like financial setbacks with like his student loans and things like that. But he promises he's going to pay her back. Like he makes money. Like he just needs it quick because he's waiting for the next paycheck and things like that. But the loans keep getting even bigger, and Deborah just keeps giving them to him. Meanwhile, Jacqueline and Tara are now growing more and more worried, and they can see their mom slipping further under John's control, and they know they have to do something fast. Okay, we're going to take a quick pause from Deborah for a second, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about John's background.
Okay.
So he grew up in a home where his dad, William, wanted his kids to almost be con artists. And he would teach them like little cons. Like if they were going to lunch that day, he would bring like shards of glass to put into lunch so that they could get lunch for free. And all of the affection within John's household was much around like pleasing the dad and very much conditional. So John grew up in a very like competitive household, but also in a way that like they were taught that conning somebody was the way to get through life.
Yeah.
And that lying and cheating was the best way to be successful.
Yeah. And when you're like a little kid and you're being brought up by
and
your dad like that,
is telling
like,
you
you're thinking like that's how you do it.
Yeah. And if that's the only way that I'm going to get affection from my parent, like, I'm going to continue to do it.
And then it creates a bunch of other issues.
There's a lot of other issues that are going to come up about John. So John decides to go to college, and he goes to law school. And ultimately he decides to drop out of law school.
Mm-hmm.
But when he drops out, he ends up meeting this woman, Tanya.
Mm-hmm.
And Tanya is a nurse anesthesiologist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And she is like super successful in her field. And John tells her that like law didn't work out for me. He's saying like, I want to be a nurse anesthesiologist too. Like that's actually been my full dream that I wanted to do, but I was always too scared or intimidated to go after it.
Mm-hmm.
And like from what they say, with not that it's easy, but that you can get into this field at any time in your life, is like how like Tanya made it sound in the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so like it's not like something that like you have to start like very early on.
Yeah. No, 100%.
So she ends up putting in a good word for John to get into nursing school.
Mm-hmm.
And then he graduates. Now she puts in a good word, Tanya does,
Mm-hmm.
to get John a job at the hospital that she works at, all while they're having their romantic relationship. So their romantic relationship is growing. They end up getting married,
Mm-hmm.
and they throw what they call a John Draper style wedding. John Draper, Mad Men.
I never watched that.
But yeah, it's like very like 60s, like classic, like
okay.
50s. I guess it's like more on the cusp of like 50s, 60s. But like
Mm-hmm.
John Draper was John Hamm's character
Mm-hmm.
in Mad Men, and he like idolized him as like being like the man kind of thing.
Okay.
So they get married, and John like I said, John has finished school, and he has started working at the hospital with Tanya. And that's when his behavior starts to change. Tanya started noticing like little lies, things that just didn't add up. He'd say he was working late, but she couldn't reach him. He'd claim to be on call at the hospital, but colleagues would later say they hadn't seen him. And it's like, they're all her friends too. So like,
yeah, like easy to keep track of.
Yeah. And now, because she knows that he's working, she would also like notice that money wasn't like, the finances weren't adding up. And she was just like, this doesn't make sense to me, because we do the same job that like you should be able to pay your half of the rent.
Yeah. Like I know how much money you make.
Yeah. So he would constantly need loans from Tanya, and there was always an excuse. She would lend him money, but it started to feel like she was the only one contributing to the relationship. And every time she brought it up, John would deflect. He'd say things like, I thought you loved me. Why are you keeping score? And then it gets so much worse, because the money wasn't the only problem. Because John worked in the hospital, he had access to powerful drugs like fentanyl and other narcotics. And Tanya started noticing that drugs were disappearing from the hospital where they both worked.
Mm-hmm.
So at first she didn't really want to believe it, but then a coworker brought it up to her. Like he was checking on a patient, and she's like, I saw him not give them the dosage to the patient and then pocket the drugs.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so messed up.
Yeah. So she starts looking throughout the house, and she finds vials, and she finds needles, and she finds pills that have all been taken from the hospital. Then come the overdoses. More than once, Tanya found John unconscious at home, and she begged him to get clean, to go to rehab, turn his life around, but John didn't want help. He just wanted the drugs.
Oh, I thought it was going a different way. I thought he was going to be selling them.
No, he was taking them.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. Tanya decides she wants to end the relationship. And that's when John starts harassing her. So he would call her, leave her voice messages. He would show up at the house uninvited. But it was like weird because he would say like, I love you. I want you back. Like, let's work through this. And then the next message would be like, you'll regret this. You don't know who you're messing with. Like things like that.
Because he realizes it's probably not working.
Yeah. Finally, John gets reported about stealing the drugs from the hospital. And they arrest him, but he goes out on parole. So, but he has a hearing set because he's guilty, but he's out.
Yeah.
So he has a hearing set and he doesn't show up for the hearing.
Of course he doesn't.
Yeah. And so the police go out to find him and they find him in a hotel room with needles and empty vials like all around him. He's overdosed again on more of the drugs that he's stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get an ambulance to come and take him. And in the ambulance, he wakes up, grabs the drugs out of the ambulance. So like they have like narcotics in ambulance.
Yeah.
If he grabs that, jumps out of the moving ambulance, runs into like a department store. He scales a elevator shaft.
Oh my God. That's a lot for like waking up from an overdose.
It's insane. And so, well, and they do say that like sometimes when people are on like certain amount of drugs, like they get like almost like superhuman, like
the adrenaline's wild or something.
Which that's not to say go do that to get like superpowers or something. But this guy, Spider-Man. So they arrest him and they take him to jail. And he is sentenced to 17 months in jail after the arrest. And he loses his nursing license. And that means he has no legitimate career to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
But this brings us back to Deborah Newell, because the first thing John does when he's released from jail is he goes online to start dating.
That's like the first thing.
That's the first thing he does.
Find a date.
At this point, she is like, again, completely smitten with John. Her daughters, Jacqueline and Tara, not convinced. And they decide to hire a private investigator. This investigator starts digging into John Meehan's background. What they discover is chilling. First, there's the criminal record that Deborah didn't know about. So he had been arrested multiple times for the drug theft, prescription fraud, and harassment. And then he also spent 17 months in jail, which she did not know about.
Mm-hmm.
Then on top of that, there's a history with women. The PI uncovers several restraining orders filed against John by multiple ex-girlfriends, and these women all have the same story. John had swept them off their feet. They had been manipulated emotionally and financially, and then he turned into controlling and threatening when they tried to leave. And then they find aliases. So John has been using fake names and identities to cover his tracks for years. He created an entire web of lies to keep people from discovering the truth about him. So when Jacqueline gets the PI report, she's horrified. She goes to tell her mom, but also knows that it's not going to be easy. So the two girls sit Deborah down, and there's a lot of like back and forth between the girls and the mom of just like this endless loop of like, listen, we continue to bring you multiple things about this guy and you're not believing us. And she continues to like have John's back. But then a night at home with John and Deborah escalates to a point where like she sees a side of him that terrifies her. And she says that like he turned into an entirely different person, and it finally clicks, like all the things the girls have been saying that made them uncomfortable and that they didn't like about him. Finally, whatever happened that night.
How scary would that be though, to come to those realizations in that moment while he's acting like that and you're like there? Like that's scary.
Yeah, like whatever he turned into was enough for her to, for lack of a better phrase, like your daughter is coming to you telling you about this stuff. Like that would be the first person I believe. But she had to see it for herself.
Yeah, definitely.
So not blaming her, just saying like
I feel like that happens literally all the time.
Yeah, and like also like she's trying to defend a relationship she's fought so hard for. So
yeah, and it's also sad because she's been married like 4 times, I think you said, and she's probably just at the point where it's like she wants this to work. So yeah,
she's desperate to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
So she decides to move out, and this is when John escalates even more. So she moves out of the house that they have together. She moves into her own home, and John starts harassing her.
Mm-hmm.
He will show up at the house. He starts sending her and the girls text messages. He is stalking all of them. He blames the girls for the breakup of him and Deborah.
Mm-hmm.
And he specifically blames Tara, which was a little bit surprising to me.
I was thinking it was going to be the other one.
Yeah, but he very much blames Tara. And she's getting a lot of the threats and things like that from him. So on August 20th, 2016, Tara is leaving work, and she had parked her car in an apartment complex. John was waiting for her.
Oh no.
But here's the thing about Tara is she was very sweet and kind, but she is tough as fuck. Like she had obviously like grown up with her, watching her mom being the strong woman that she was. She also took Krav Maga classes.
I love that.
Wrong one to mess with.
That always reminds me of How I Met Your Mother. Do you remember?
No.
Oh, he dates a girl that did, wait, how do you say it?
Krav Maga.
So funny. And she kicks his ass.
I always love when like I see the stories and it's like the news story and it's like, oh, this person tried to mug this guy, and then like they show a picture and he's like a UFC fighter.
It's like good luck.
Yeah. But so she's going to her car and John was hiding, and as she approaches her car, she also has her beloved Cash with her. So Cash is there, and John ambushes her. He lunged at her with a knife. He was shouting threats at her. And Tara later says that he was acting like a monster, that again, it was just this unrecognizable person.
Yeah.
So probably the same thing that her mom experienced that night, where his like rage.
Yeah.
But like I said, Tara wasn't alone. Her mini Australian Shepherd Cash was with her, and he attacked John. He is fiercely loyal to Tara, so he jumps on John, and it scares John enough that he drops the knife, and that gives Tara just enough time to grab the knife. She starts stabbing. She describes it not as something that like she's proud of, but just like all the anger that she stuff. So she stabs him multiple times. The final blow is she stabs him directly in the eyeball.
Wow.
John did not make it.
Good.
Yeah.
Fuck you, John.
Yeah.
I was like thinking you were gonna say he killed one of the daughters, and I was just like, he tried
to.
But he didn't.
Well, I started this off as this is a love story. This is a love story between Cash and Tara.
Aww. I love that.
Yeah. So, like I said, Cash has his own Instagram, Cash Newell.
Mm-hmm.
Follow him. And
follow us too.
I was gonna say follow us first, but
that was so good, and that was such a surprise ending. So I feel like I was so like hooked. I'm like, how is this gonna end?
Yeah.
And it was just like the way you described the mom and the daughters. I was like, oh, I love that, because I mean, I have a sister and my mom, and we're all really close. I was like, who's gonna die here? But I'm glad it was him.
It was him. Yes. So it definitely ended up being a good ending for
traumatizing
them.
For them, but I'm glad they all survived.
And there's a so I mean, for the true crime enthusiasts out there, this is the story of Dirty John. If you didn't pick up on that, but that's what they called him, is Dirty John. There's actually a Bravo series
really
about it. They've had 2 seasons, one about Betty Broderick and one about this story. And Eric Bana plays John Meehan in that series, and he is so good. Like, they casted it perfect. Connie Britton plays Deborah. Juno Temple plays Jacqueline. And I'm going to blank on this girl's name, but we love her. She, the girl that played Anna Delvey in Discovering Anna, plays Tara.
Okay, cool.
So,
I actually might watch that because, yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, and they cast it perfectly. Also, not gonna lie, Connie and Eric Bana, chemistry up the wazoo. Like,
well, I mean, that probably makes it really believable because
Yeah.
I'm sure they did have chemistry. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, but also, like, they were generous in casting Eric Bana as this guy.
Like he was actually good looking.
Yeah. He was great at acting, but I also hate that they casted somebody as hot as Eric Bana for this tool.
I mean, it's based on a true story, so it's not the act. You know? He's hotter. Well, that was a really good one.
Thanks. Sorry, I was like a little all over the place.
It was not.
There's a lot to cover, and there's still even more to it.
Hey, it's a Friday night, okay? Thank you, everyone, for listening. And if you want to rate and review us, that'd be great. Or you can send in a listener story at
igsttystories@gmail.com.
Yeah. And follow us on all the socials.
Yeah, maybe Cash will follow us.
Oh my gosh, you should follow him after this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Later.